Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, ReZero, Season 4.
ReZero, Season 4, Episode 1. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the dojo. And, well, ReZero's back way faster than I thought it would be. It ended about a little over a year ago. I believe Season 3's finale was like April something like that. I looked at it earlier. It was like April 9th or something. Of last year, so I thought for sure. I was like, well, see, I think I even jokingly said it when we wrapped up last year, was, well, we'll see you guys in like 2029. You know what I mean? But here we are, a little over a year later, and this season is slated for 19 episodes. They said they were going to kind of do the split core thing like they did last time, where they did like 7 episodes, then 8 episodes, or whatever it was, or 9 episodes, then 8, whatever the heck they did last time for the 16. Maybe it was 8 and 8. I don't remember. But yeah, they said they're going to do that again as we speak right now, because Age and I got pretty far behind based on a couple things going on with Age, like being in Firewatch for like 2 weeks and potentially having to evacuate. Couldn't really do anything because he had to be ready to leave at the drop of the hat. And then his internet decided to have no upload for a couple weeks, and Spectrum was trash, so didn't do anything there. So we're going to be playing catch up for the spring season. Luckily, this is not the summer season, which is insane. So based on the fact that JoJo's bounced out, they dropped their new episode for Steel Ball Run, and we're like, here's the first double-length episode. See you guys in the fall.
Yeah.
Okay, so that got taken off of our list. And since we have to play catch up, we're going to be doing, if you've been watching us for the last couple weeks with what we've been doing, we're going to be catching up with ReZero by doing 2 episodes a week until we're caught up. And we're going to be doing the same thing with Slime. That's going to be the other show, Tensura. We're going to be doing 2 episodes a week of that until we catch up with that. And hopefully just kind of bridge that gap that we lost, about those like 6 weeks that we lost. So you'll still be getting 4 episodes a week. It'll just be 2 ReZero on Wednesday and Thursday, and then Slime will be Friday and Monday. And then once everything's caught up, Slime will just be kind of hanging out on Monday, kind of like taking that Don Machi role, because Season 4 of Slime is going to be 5 cores. Bare minimum 2 to start. So I assume by the time the second core is over, we probably won't have to be waiting too long for the 3rd and 4th cores to start. You know what I mean? So that's just going to be Monday until it's not.
Yeah, because Slime's source material has been over for a little bit now. I think it ended shortly after last season did.
Yeah.
But so now, yeah, the anime's just said, fuck it, we're going full catch-up mode and just gonna do the rest all in one season.
Right. So if you're new to the channel, once again, last time we did ReZero, we were on my previous channel. Age and I are going to do our intro video again this week to just finally set that up after having to put it off forever and explain some things. So I will refer you guys to that if you're new to the channel. The link will be in the description down there for the just rest of the videos, so people can check it out and I can point to it. Just some quick things. We do timer reactions, and we do the discussion and review on YouTube. The timer reaction gets posted over on Patreon, so you can check out the link in the description. These intros are always shared, so when we go to the edit, it's just the timer reaction is over on Patreon, completely free. It's just, you just have to click on the link and it'll be there as the post. It'll just be in the feed for the most recent stuff. I just have to split it for YouTube shenanigans and copyright nonsense. We'll go into that more in the intro video and stuff like that. But, you know, TLDR, I lost my channel over nonsense. The first video on this channel explains what happened. But I did get it back, but I didn't want to, you know, deal with that on one of my oldest accounts. So I just started using this account instead, that I randomly made like in 2013 for World of Planes challenges. I don't know why I did that, but I got some gold for World of Tanks and it worked out. So whatever. So we do the timer reaction, stuff like that. So that's over on Patreon. And another thing I need to mention for YouTube is, ever since I started using this channel, right after we got started on this channel, YouTube instituted a thing where for the comment section, for other people, and I've looked into this, they are able to turn this off. I cannot. So if you cannot post comments on my channel, which I think is insane, unless you've been subscribed for at least a day. I have two options for this. It's either 1 week or 1 day. So I have it on a day because that's as low as I can put it. Other people have pointed out that they can turn off entirely, or some people have said that they have options to take it down to an hour. I cannot. I don't know why this is a thing. Maybe it's because I have a low amount of subscribers, whatever it may be. So I'd love to change that, you guys. I don't care who comments on our stuff, you know, whether you're subscribed or not. You watch a couple of our videos and want to join the conversation, put something in, you know, answer a question we might have put out there for the community, whatever. I cannot change this right now. So it's been like this for like the last 4 months since that came out. I can't change it. So if you want to comment, then you're going to have to subscribe and be subscribed for at least today, you know, help the channel grow, all that kind of stuff, because Age and I were, you know, we were doing pretty good on the other one. And, you know, to lose that was really annoying and stuff like that. And with this one, it's just, I feel like a lot of the YouTube algorithm is like not allowing people who aren't subscribed is hindering like visibility and stuff like that. So, you know, help us out, push the subscribe button. It's free, you know, and just wait a day. And then hopefully maybe if we cross like 100 subs again, you know, we were well on our way to being monetized last time. And maybe if we get a couple hundred subs again, then I can just turn it off and not have to worry about this nonsense, because I don't care. People can put whatever they want as long as they're not being like insulting or derogatory or, you know, being ridiculous. But I think it's insane that, you know, this is a restriction for like potentially for smaller creators. It's like, listen, I posted like several dozen videos at this point for 6 months. I'm not like a bot. I'm not like an AI creator. You know what I mean? So I should be able to turn this off. You know what I mean? So that's just something I wanted to point out. I haven't pointed it out in a while, as I got sick of pointing it out every week when I first saw it as a thing. But I'm going to point this out for this video for ReZero at the beginning, and then when we do Slime on Friday and Mondays, I'll point it out on Slime on the first episode again for the people that... I don't expect everybody to watch everything we do because they might not be interested in every show we do. It's that simple. So I got to point that out wherever we can. If you do watch all our stuff, appreciate you. You can just, you know, skip it. But it's just, it's annoying. It is what it is. So those are a couple PSAs. Go check out the intro video, more on us, and you know, push the subscribe button and help me out so I can turn this stupid setting off because it's really annoying. You know, if somebody just wants to drop in and, you know, they have something to say for whatever, they should be able to say something, answer a question, point something out, ask us a question, you know, not, you know, maybe they don't want to sub for whatever reason immediately. That's totally fine. If they want to interact with us in some way in the comments before they decide that they want to sub, that's totally fine. I understand that. But not being able to comment without being subscribed for at least a day is ridiculous. And even like the hour one, you know what I mean? That's still a weird limitation. It's just like,
yeah, having to subscribe to someone to comment in the first place is just weird.
So anyway, all that stuff aside, as for ReZero, last time we had Al going out with the thumbs up, stuff like that. A bunch of interesting stuff happened. There's something I do want to talk about in the discussion, but I'll save that for the discussion as like an extra thing. But I might talk about it during the Patreon section for the timer reaction as well while we're just watching it. But Greed was dealt with. Pretty sure he's dead. If not, he's face planted under Priestella, and he ain't getting out of there anytime soon if he's not dead. That's something that we haven't confirmed. We haven't read the source material, so we're all anime original here, except for a couple things that we know from the source material for sure. But
by the end of the last season, we were like 90% sure he's dead, with like the remaining 10% being that he potentially managed to like burrow his way down to the witch's corpse and potentially pulled some shenanigans with that. That's like his only real way of potentially getting out of his situation.
Yeah, that was the only thing we really theorized. So we have all the other stuff going on, and the cliffhanger that we got dropped on was that Julius lost his fight to one of the gluttonies, because Subaru was the only one who knew who he was, because Subaru can, you know, circumvent that power because, you know, he has his own witch factor and stuff like that. So he's immune to the shenanigans.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that too much, but it's something some shenanigan with his return by death makes his like memories unalterable, because like he's still susceptible to most of the authorities and stuff like that, but specifically like the ones that don't work on him are the ones that manipulate memory.
Right.
And his whole power once again is remembering previous lives and shit like that.
Yep. So that's going to be an interesting thing for the beginning of this season. Something that we did talk about was how many deaths he's going to keep accruing over time and stuff like that. I know it's a big part of the series, but I hope it's kind of curbed. You know, I know it's a big part of the series, and like, but to me, it's kind of like that step beyond of like the, you know, oh my god, you killed Kenny thing, where it just keeps happening, and it just feels like it's kind of like a cheap gimmick to elongate the series beyond what it actually needs to be. You know what I mean? Because if, well, let's say Subaru like dies in some fashion, right? And he just keeps failing at the same thing over and over and over again, it just becomes a thing that it just, if it doesn't become like a montage thing, it feels like it's wasting my time. And that's one of my personal gripes with the series, where it's just like, so we're going to do 3 episodes of him just failing at X thing. You know what I mean? That's what I take issue with. Like, even if it's good, it just feels like it's wasting my time, because I don't care if he dies. I understand that's a part of the series, it's a part of his character, it's a part of what's going on with the story. But if it becomes excessive to the point where it's like, you've been doing this for like, you know, 5 chapters and like 3 episodes or whatever it may be, it's just like, so when is he going to get past this hurdle? Because now this is just stupid. You know what I mean?
I don't know if he ever ends up having to go to this extent in the main story, but I know in one of the like those 10 alternate endings or whatever that the author did, in one of them he gets in some sort of like 10,000 death loop trying to like best Reinhardt at something.
Well, so yeah, it's just one of those things. I can deal with a couple, you know, like last season when he was dealing with Wrath. That was fine. You know, he failed a couple times and then he figured it out. Okay. No problems there. Whatever. But it's just when it starts piling on, and that's what I'm concerned with. I'm just kind of throwing it out there as a thing. Like, if that starts happening, it just kind of feels like, you know, the full Bender thing. Let's go already, man. You know, I'm not like full Zoomer over here, but, you know, Subaru is not one of my favorite main characters. We've talked about this. He has slowly gotten better over time, and I've enjoyed his presence a little bit more. He's grown as a main character, but I still don't like him that much, honestly. And if he's going to waste my time, I'm going to take issue with it.
Yeah, Subaru's always been one of the weaker points of the whole series.
So I just hope it doesn't devolve into that where Crunchyroll player telling me to get out because I've been sitting on the screen for too long. But either way, that's just something I wanted to mention. It's like, hopefully it doesn't become that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I do know that he apparently does take a death here sometime in the first few episodes. But as we talked about in the previous things, like he has been getting better about it, and like he doesn't really die that often anymore.
Yep. Because at the end of the day, I'm not saying he shouldn't die ever again. He's probably going to have like a couple stumbles here and there. You know what I mean? I don't want him to turn into the typical shonen protagonist that has just become like super awesome. You know what I mean? But he should still be growing over time and getting generally better. You know what I mean? And stop falling for random nonsense. You know what I mean? At a certain point. If it's like a crazy extenuating circumstance, like, you know, an authority or something that he doesn't know about, yeah, that's totally fine. But, you know, if he can't figure something out in a reasonable amount of time, that's where it starts bothering me with the situation. Anywho, all that stuff being said, we're going to push some buttons and get going here. So I assume that we're still going to be hanging around Pre-Stella for a little bit, and then we'll be moving on to whatever the next thing is, because they're pretty much done here. You know what I mean? They just kind of got to pick up the pieces of Julius and figure out what they're going to do next. So yeah, I think we've rambled enough. Mostly me. I've rambled enough for the beginning of this video, so I apologize. We're going to go push some buttons and get going here. So people on Patreon, we'll see you on the other side of the edit for the time reaction, and people on YouTube Beyond, we'll see you on the other side for the discussion and review. If you want to check out the time reaction, it's down there in the description. Check it out. Watch it. Straight to it. It's free. Just watch it on Patreon because of YouTube reasoning. So yeah. we're gonna push some buttons and get going. So here goes something. Well, alrighty then, there you guys have it. We went on a pretty extended discussion on Patreon about a couple other pseudo-adjacent things to Crunchyroll and ReZero and whatnot. So hear that discussion is back over on Patreon. End of section. So talk about a couple things, bonus, just insight into stuff for what's going on with just Crunchyroll and a couple other things having to do with ReZero and whatnot. Nothing to do with this episode at all. So you're just here for the discussion. You're not really missing out on that. But as for it,
more just talking about forgetting situations in the anime industry and a bit about like ReZero's last season and the series as a whole.
Yeah. So anyway, as for this episode, which is what the whole point of this one is we had the fallout of Julius. He's in the same boat, in a slightly different boat than the others that were pointed out, that kind of thing. So gluttony's weird. You can take your name, you can take your memories, you can take both. You know what I mean? So they all hit different. So we have, I think, all the flavors of how gluttony can affect people now.
Yeah, Julius was the first case. That was like the thing that we were kind of like speculating, talking about last season. Was Julius is the first case we've had of someone only having their name. Like we had stuff with like Cruce, where she got her memories eaten. So like she still has her identity, but she doesn't have any of her memories prior to the fight.
Yep.
Julius has all his memories and his personality and everything like that, but no one remembers him. And then, Rem had everything eaten, so she's literally just a vegetable at the moment.
Right. So that was handled, about what you'd expect. We got the backstory on this Sage, who is a new character. I believe Age mentioned it a little bit during the time reaction. There was we kind of got something on the Sages in the Isekai Quartet movie.
Yeah, I know of Shaola. She's been mentioned before. And I know she is in some way, shape, or form related to Flugel. And I'm pretty sure, in the movie even, he specifically mentioned Shaola at least once or twice. Because once again, the Isekai Quartet movie is the only time Flugel's ever actually been directly in the story.
Yeah. So, go watch that movie. Because Isekai Quartet is integral to every show that it's tied to, especially the major four. So all the authors have come together and say, yeah, that's canon. So sometimes you got to pay attention to that. And it's a quick watch. All the episodes are like 10 minutes, so a couple hours. They're fully caught up.
Most of it's just comedic hijinks, but there are a handful of things in there that are actually of significant note.
Especially in season 3.
Yeah, season 3, the movie, there's a lot of power scaling comparisons in there. Hines' whole thing of just mentioning how Tanya just simply radiating ambient magic puts her at least tier 8 mage by Overlord standards, which puts her minimum level at somewhere 70.
Yeah. But what I was getting at here was the whole Reinhard not being able to go to this place, which is one of those classic fantasy tropes of it's probably going to be, if the Sage wants you to get there, you'll get there. If the Sage doesn't want you to get there, you're not getting there, even if you're Reinhard, apparently. You know what I mean? So it's probably one of those situations where very few people in the world could probably force getting to this Sage. And it's just kind of the Sage kind of looks at into the people and are just oh, yeah, I'll probably let that Subaru guy in, but maybe not Amelia or something for some reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it might go, using a little bit of meta knowledge, I know that Subaru dies here within the first few episodes. It might go a bit south, specifically because they're bringing Amelia, and the whole thing is that Shaola's supposed to be, and the Pleiades Tower in general is supposed to be overwatching Echidna, and forget the Witch of Envy. Right. Satella, and we keep bringing up, we keep always having it hammered home that Amelia is identical to Satella. Yep. So it might be a thing of you're bringing someone who physically and magically breathes identically as Satella to the place where they're trying to guard against Satella.
Yeah, so that's probably not a great plan, but that's they're one of their only course of actions right now is somebody who, the Sin Archbishops aren't going to give up that information. They have Wrath captured,
Yeah.
but you think Wrath is going to talk? Yeah, right. Out of all of them, Lust would have probably been the best one to capture and question. You know what I mean?
She'd also
Especially
been
with her.
the hardest to capture and question.
Yeah,
though.
hardest. But if there was one that was, I'm just saying from the standpoint of somebody who would probably be the most willing or susceptible to talking for whatever reason, because Lust kind of got full of herself, you know what I mean? And her tie to the Lagunica family, that kind of thing that we talked about last season. She'd probably be more willing to like slip up during conversation and spill the beans or spill a part of the beans on accident. Even if, say, she was lying about most of it, but you know what they say, there's truth in every lie. So they would just have to kind of dissect, like, yeah, she sounded full of shit, but that one part there, that might be worth looking into. You know what I mean? Greed would have never given anything up, and obviously Wrath is not going to. So, as for Gluttony, he would probably never give anything up either, just based on his personality and his different incarnations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it depends on which gluttony you capture. From what we know, the two male gluttonies seem more like pawns to the female gluttony. So, like, if you got her, maybe some deal or something could be worked out. But the other two, they just kind of seem to just do their own thing and don't even really know what's the plan is or what's going on.
Yeah. So, anyway, all that stuff aside, that's the kind of character that I figure the Sage is going to be. Just the, we'll let you in based on just kind of like reading you from afar, but otherwise you're just on a treadmill. You know what I mean? That classic kind of like Gerudo desert kind of situation. You know what I mean? Without like having like some weird gimmick. You know what I mean? To get through the what is essentially a treadmill. You know what I mean? The castle in the distance, just staying the same distance away from you, kind of stuff. So that'll be interesting to see how that's handled. I'm looking forward to that. Especially since, Reinhardt has every divine protection known to man. He still couldn't get through it. So that's saying something.
Yeah, we know there is some limitation to his divine protection of divine protections, because, like, it seems like if he doesn't know how it works, then he can't protect against it. Like, for example, one of the only times we've ever seen it actually fail is, once again, with Wrath. He doesn't understand Wrath's authority, and Wrath's authority worked on it.
Right.
We don't know if it's because there's some sort of failsafe in Wrath's authority that prevents divine protections from protecting against it, or if it is just a thing of, like, there is some glaring weakness to his divine protection. But we know there is some form of weakness that is inherent into it, because there have been things that have been able to stump him or bypass it.
Right. So it will be interesting to see what happens with that. We got a little bit of comedy before the seriousness, here with Beatrice and Subaru being the two attached characters that they are now. So that was funny. You always got to appreciate a little bit of comedy in the dark world that is freaking ReZero. So that was definitely hilarious. Gotta appreciate that. That relationship is always going to be hilarious. So at least there's that. And then for most of the rest of this episode, because the Garfield stuff, I hope for that character's sake and everything that he went through with his backstory and stuff like that, hopefully at some point his mother gets her memories back or whatever happened to her. Maybe she is a victim of gluttony. You know what I mean? Because you're allowed to make new memories like Cruciate is. You know what I mean? She just doesn't remember what happened before. So
yeah, because we still don't know what exactly happened to her. We just know that she left Garfield and Frederica to go on some like trip to town or whatnot. She was supposed to come back, but she didn't. And then when we got to the next thing and we got some of the other end of the story from like her new husband and stuff like that, it was a thing of just he just found her collapsed on the side of the road in a rock slide.
Yeah.
And he presumes that she has amnesia from the rock slide itself, but he doesn't actually know. He just knows he found her by the side of the road and she had no memories.
Right. But based on everything we know about gluttony now, I'd say it's a reasonable bet to say that maybe she had her memory stolen by Gluttony for some reason. We just don't know yet. So I'd say that's still on the table. But this was what it was. You know what I mean? It was kind of a nice wrap up to this bit of the story for that. But I assume that she kind of knows that there's something there. I mean, at the end of the day, let's be real. You know, if you just look at Garfield next to her two children and herself, it's like, yeah, he looks like her third kid, right? You know what I mean? Blonde hair, green eyes, just all of it. You know what I mean? So
he has like some odd physical characteristics, being that, you know, her original husband was a beast folk.
Yeah.
And they do take after him a bit. But yeah, they still, both Frederica and Garfield still look a lot like her kids.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see what is chosen to do with that story. But based on everything that we've got on Gluttony now, I'd say it's a safe bet to say that it's, you know, probably, you know, like I'd give it like 80-20 that it was Gluttony. You know what I mean? So that'll be something else to just kind of look out in the future if, you know, when Gluttony is potentially finally dealt with at some point, that, you know, all the memories just come back to her or what have you. I mean, and it's not just the simple, like, she bumped her head and has amnesia. You know what I mean? So, but that part of this episode was fine, you know, but there's nothing really huge to say about that at the moment. It's just kind of progressing that for a moment, and kind of like it definitely has that feel of like, don't forget about this, put a pin in this, because this is still an important part of Garfield's character and stuff like that. But as for what was going back here at the freaking campfire with Anastasia, is the fact that well, like I mentioned during the freaking reaction, was it's like the difference between Michael Jordan and Michael B. Jordan. Why do you think Michael B. Jordan emphasizes the B all the time? Because he doesn't want to be thought of as Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? So yeah. It's just like Super points out, I was like, what did he call her? Foxkidna or something like that?
Yeah.
It's like, maybe you should at least change your name slightly, because it's just like, you know, I don't want to be the same as that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, generally you'd think, even in the case of like a spirit, naming anyone after one of the witches would be a pretty major taboo at this point.
Right. So that like stark realization on Subaru's face, like, I think that was handled very well. It's just like, oh god, it's Echidna. How the hell did you get here? It's just like, wait a minute, how have you been with her for 10 years? Hold on. And
I only just let you out of the sanctuary a year ago. How have you been with her for 10 years?
Yeah, how did you do this? But you know, this was a very interesting discussion, to the point that they changed VAs. You know what I mean? That was something.
Yeah.
They went from whoever was voicing Anastasia before to the VA who most of us know as Ramirez. And she's all over the place as well. She like does Dylan and ZZZ, and she's done several other roles. But still, like, one of her biggest roles is Ramirez from Tensura, which we'll be doing that next. But still, I was just like, wow, they're changing VAs. To be fair, it's a different character. You could argue that she was speaking in Anastasia's voice and has the capability of doing that, but when she's being herself in the case of Foxkidna, she speaks in her actual voice as the artificial spirit. You know what I mean? Because she's gonna have a different voice because she's a different being. You know what I mean? Generally speaking, while their voices could be similar, they're still two different characters. So, you know.
Yeah, which this whole thing in general is does put like a kind of interesting take on Anastasia's character, because, like, once again, all we knew of her as was just the wealthy merchant, but apparently, while she doesn't friggin' make it apparent or let anyone even know about it, she apparently has been a spirit user this whole time.
Right, and that is something we talked about last season too. Was there's something up with her magic? We just don't know yet. Now we know.
She apparently, similar to Subaru, has a faulty gate, so she can't really use magic directly herself, but like Subaru, she can have a spirit use magic for her.
Right. So as long as she's connected to the spirit, she can do it. So there you go. But in the case of this, they've kind of like done the whole like mind swap thing, and Anastasia herself is kind of like reseated into the depths of the mind and can't swap back for whatever reason. But I mean, we've seen plenty of mind swapping in the history of anime. It's been all over the place. The one that was probably used the most probably was, Yugi and the Pharaoh in the original Yu-Gi-Oh series. I mean, they swapped minds constantly. That was one of their strategies against, what's his name? The creator of Duel Monsters. Come on, Pegasus. The legendary Pegasus duel where they mind shuffled and didn't tell each other what was going on. You know what I mean? But
just go full freaking. It's not the same exact thing, but very similar setup with one again freaking Lelouch against Mao.
Yeah, Lelouch and Mao. Yep.
You can't read my mind if I don't even know what's happening in my mind.
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening. So, yeah, it's one of those classic situations. But I did mention it at the end of the reaction a little bit as well when you talked a little. This was I personally don't think that her character needed an extra shenanigan, but maybe it'll have more to do with something else going on and it'll be okay. There's a ton of other stuff going on. You know what I mean? Her being just a wealthy, well-connected merchant with some tricks up her sleeves for whatever reason would have been good enough for me. But with everything that's going on with them, like trying to, now they're taking Rem with them to the stage to potentially, solve the problem with her and everything else that's going on. It's just like, do they really need to have this Anastasia extra thing?
I mean, like I was saying before, we've been putting a bit of more actual emphasis onto the other candidates to give them like more proper character and stuff like that. And Anastasia's always been kind of the odd one out in that we didn't really get much from her, but also part of the whole thing of being the ruler of the country and stuff like that is that they're a warrior culture and they're only ran by freaking people who are capable of fighting in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
And all the other candidates can fight. Anastasia was the only one we had no context for her being able to fight. All we knew was just that she had the mercenary group to fight for her. But yeah, now we're getting into the thing that apparently she is a secret spirit user, so she has at least some combat ability of her own. We'll just have to see exactly what she's capable of.
Yep. And at the end of the day, there wasn't too much I could really say about this episode. It was fine. A good start to the next bit of the story here. But the one thing I will say, since we're bringing up the royal candidates again, this has been my own personal worry for the series from a writing standpoint as a whole. Is it by the time, if we do the royal selection at all, will people remember it as a sticking point from the beginning of the series? Will it carry the same weight? Will it matter? You know what I mean? Will it land properly? Like, say, if that's the climax of the series, that whoever becomes the queen, are we going to care? You know what I mean? Because it's been so far removed from the rest of the actual story and what's been happening. It's just kind of hey, let's not forget the royal selection still going on and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but...
The whole thing of, who's going to become the next queen, I feel like is still a major enough plot point that it's fine. The royal selection itself, though, I feel like could and probably will eventually be phased out. Because I'm pretty sure the way we're going is that all of the other candidates at some point or another are going to basically have to dip out, and it's going to end up being Amelia's the one who wins by default.
Yeah.
Because we've already got Cruchet's lost her memory. And I'm pretty sure at some point or another everyone else is going to either willingly back out or have something like in the case of Cruchet where they just don't feel like they are capable anymore of being the queen.
Yeah. But either way, this was a solid start to this for what it is. It'll be interesting to see how they go about, preparing and whatnot for this trip through where they're going, especially since Subaru is busting her out. We haven't seen her in a while, right?
Last time we saw her was, when freaking Garfield and Frederica beat her and Elsa.
Yep. But you know, we already talked about her backstory and stuff like that from the early season. So she's not like your atypical bad character. You know what I mean? She was on the hook. You know what I mean? She was doing what she was told, and now she's just kind of hanging out in the mansion, like not wanting to leave because she doesn't want to be put back into the place of having to do those horrible things that she was forced to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's a pretty great character in general. She's willing to do bad shit, but doesn't necessarily like doing bad shit. She was mostly just doing bad shit because Lust kept making her do bad shit.
Yeah. But, you know, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with her and how the story unfolds potentially around her doing a thing with the Maw Beasts, because we haven't done anything with Maw Beasts in all of it, so why not? Outside of Otto summoning those dragons last season, that was cool. But all that stuff aside, you know, reasonable first episode of the season. It was not like the typical like ReZero like 28 minutes, which I forget if that was the majority of last season or not. I was going to try to find time to watch season 3 again just to kind of like refresh the brain and stuff, but I'm pretty sure at least half of the episodes were the 28-minuters. So it'll be interesting to see how much of this season is the classic ReZero 28-minute episode, because that's the majority of the series was 28-minute runtime.
Yeah, a lot of the episodes are 28 minutes, and they like to put in double-length episodes, which this is like one of the only seasons we've had so far where the first episode wasn't double-length.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's all I got for this one. We'll be rolling right into the next one coming out for you guys tomorrow, because for the next month or so, it's going to be Double ReZero Wednesday, Thursday, and Double Slime Friday, Monday. And summer season starts, and we on everything. So that's what's going to be going on. So yeah, we'll just have to see where this goes. Hopefully Subaru takes a shower and cleans up his clothes at some point, because he's just rolling around in a dirty tracksuit.
And we haven't had anyone question why his arm and leg are fucked up.
Yeah, nobody's questioning it. It's just Subaru stuff. Who cares? So, anyway.
Which we were talking about him getting like stronger over the course of the series so far. Like, he's had his Europe training, and then now he has dragon blood going. So he's quite a bit stronger now.
Right. So it will be a thing to see what happens with Subaru going forward with all the extra random crap that is now piled into his body, just renting out space. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube, beyond whoever watching, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and hanging out in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo. It was ReZero, Season 4, Episode 1. So, have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.